Issue 66. Johnny's immediately genre savvy because he knows Brutus won't stand a chance against Supersonic, while Amy's under the impression that Sonic losing his cool will cost them, even though he's invincible. Somehow Brutus was surprised that Supersonic had damaged his armor, and he tries to fly away with Amy, being under the impression that Sonic won't attack him when she's at risk. Amy gets freed by him, and with Brutus losing his hand, he tells Sonic to follow him to a place where, according to Johnny, he'll be outnumbered. How genre blind is Johnny? He's not saying that he thinks Sonic will turn back to normal when he's in the worst of danger, so he just seems like he's doubting an invincible god. The troopers fire, and Sonic dodges the lasers with his speed and destroys the robots. Johnny, despite looking nervous, compliments Sonic as efficient with what he's doing as Supersonic, while Amy says she prefers him as more laid back. How is Fleetway Sonic laid back? He's always so impatient, rude, and condescending to his friends. He's too short-tempered to be laid back. After a robot trooper asks where the heroes are because the ship is ready to escort them, Brutus tells him to get the foam cannon operational, and Sonic gets it sprayed at him, with it hardening right away around him. But of course he's strong enough to break free because he's Supersonic, so why did I ever expect anything different? Brutus goes into his ship planning to return to Metropolis and plan a new strategy to defeat Sonic, and for some reason Sonic wasn't able to follow him into the ship and destroy him right away and the ship with it, even though his super form can move at supersonic speed. Instead, he goes back to normal before he could do any of that because his energy is exhausted and defeating Brutus too quickly would be anticlimactic. Amy asks how Sonic will join his friends since the bridge is down. You do realize Sonic can run at super speed and run around the abyss and rejoin you just fine, right? No, instead he just jumps across an abyss that looks way too wide for him to jump across. Meanwhile, Grimer assures Eggman that Brutus must have a good reason for being late, wanting him to not be mad because I guess there'd be a risk of him getting lashed out at. Brutus says that he was late because he needed repairs, and he doesn't tell Eggman about Supersonic right away, which should have been the normal realistic response he'd immediately say as a very good excuse. Eggman dismisses Brutus as just a robot and tells him to work on a new plan, and Brutus predictably plans to take over Mobius. In the next story, Knuckles shows Dr. Zachary, the Chaos Chamber, as Zachary is somehow surprised that the legends about the Chaos Emeralds are true when you'd think an echidna would know more than anyone that the emeralds exist to keep the island afloat. Zachary even has the same yellow and white color scheme as Finibus. He's just missing the black and yellow eyes. He shows himself to be an obvious villain despite the bored facial expression because he says it's unbelievable how much power the emeralds have. Knuckles asks a bored-looking Zachary why the echidnas ditched the floating island. It's because Sega doesn't want there to be echidnas there. Knuckles also asks why he's the Guardian. But Zachary just postpones telling him everything because the writer got lazy, because he's tired from hiding from the robot for days. That's so selfish of him. Knuckles really wants to know all of that. Does Zachary even know the answers to begin with? He has to. Zachary says that the robot is virtually indestructible and is able to track him specifically down. I hope that will be explained. The next night, Knuckles can't sleep, predictably finds out that the robot is of echidna design, and wonders why Zachary would be targeted by it. Shouldn't it be obvious to him that it's because he's the bad guy? Maybe Knuckles is just in denial and doesn't want to believe that the only echidna he'll ever get to meet has to be evil to contrast them. Knuckles fights the robot when it bursts through the wall. Zachary stupidly doesn't make a run for it, and Knuckles passes out and is told that the robot turned away from Zachary at the last second to run into the Chaos Chamber. I guess Zachary used magic on him, but why did he do that earlier if that was the case? The story ends with an earthquake happening because the robot is suddenly stealing the Master Emerald. Did Eggman remotely reprogram it, or did Zachary do that? And again, why didn't he do that a lot earlier? In the final story, Metamorphia tells Eggman the bomb blew up Chemical Plant Zone, and that's why she assumes he's dead, and Eggman reacts with panic to this. Meanwhile, Shortfuse is trapped under rubble under the water with his armor's oxygen supply running out. He thinks that his blasters can make matters worse from creating more rubble, and he uses his boot jets to dig a trench in the seabed, giving him just enough room to get out. He briefly blames himself for Techno's kidnapping, and we cut to Metamorphia in a tube being threatened with destruction by Eggman because she let his factory get blown up, and he reminds her of the cost of repairs. And Grimer looks sad at having to do this to her. Maybe because he thinks of her as his daughter. That's at least an original twist. In this comic, Grimer the discount Snively made Eve instead of Eggman. Completely and utterly idiotically, Eggman removes Metamorphia's shape-shifting powers, destroying the usefulness of her, and says that she'll serve him better as a badnik, which is at least a little more pragmatic than just killing her and completely wasting her. But why would he ever do this? If he wants to punish her, can't he just torture her instead? Then a trooper tells Eggman that Citadel Robotnik, which isn't nearly as charming of a name as Robotropolis, is under attack. The first and third stories were by Lou Stringer. In the first one, Supersonic wins against Brutus, go figure, but to my surprise, he doesn't destroy him in a ship because his power is exhausted, as he was so absorbed in loving destruction that he wasted time destroying robots. Well, it does make sense that they wouldn't waste the concept of a robot with Eggman's mind by having him be destroyed so easily, but Eggman's already mad at him, so I was expecting him to trash him, not just send him to do another mission without wasting him. That's so forced. The third story has Short Fuse get free of the rubble underwater by using his jet boots, and Eggman stupidly and idiotically removes Metamorphia's shape-shifting powers because he didn't think to tell her not to let Chemical Plant Zone get destroyed. He could have tortured her instead of removing the usefulness of the greatest creation of the Eggman Empire, but no. I wonder how she'll inevitably get her powers back. Maybe Grimer will do it. That would make sense. And in the second story by Nigel Kitching, Dr. Zachary arbitrarily doesn't give Knuckles all of his answers, maybe because he's a really selfish villain who doesn't care about that. And suddenly, the robot goes from hunting down Zachary to trying to steal the Master Emerald. Again, I guess Knuckles is in denial about Discount Finidus being evil, since that's the only logical reason the Echidnas would have built a robot to hunt him down. You know, the funny thing is, I bet Dr. Zachary's backstory will be a million times better than Finidus' so-called backstory. I bet it'll actually make sense for one, but I shouldn't get my hopes up. He's probably just gonna be a mad scientist who is always evil for no reason. The Sonic franchise never really bothers to explain why the bad guys are evil. Well, at least unlike Dr. Finidus, Zachary acts like a normal person who could easily be bought as not a villain right away, while Finidus always acted pretty creepy and even short-tempered, even when he was doing more good than evil.